So YouTube keeps messing up my videos on OBEs or astral projection, so this is the third video I'm doing, or the fourth. But I'm going to do it again as if it's the first one. So, astral projection, or out-of-body experiences, OBEs. What have my experiences been? When I was really young, maybe, I would say between 5 and 6, I remember waking up and feeling like I had just visited my soul family or my real family, and they had encouraged me to come back and stay on Earth. And I just remember telling myself when I was waking up, I was like, why can't I remember them? I feel like I've been somewhere and they were encouraging me to stay, but I can't remember it. So I had lots of experiences when I was between 2 and 4, but I don't remember them. I gave up the right to those memories because they would keep me from committing to being on Earth. But between 11 and 12, I think, I was reading the Zach File books, and in one of these books, Zach was having an out-of-body experience with one of his friends. Um, and I just remember reading the book and being really convinced that it was real and that I was going to do it. So I went into my room, nobody was there, I laid down on the floor, and I went through the steps that the book said to do. And there was a moment where I left my body and I was standing over my body, and I was expanding my body where it was kind of strange and time lapse, and then I was instantly back in my body. And I remember standing up and being disoriented and being like, what just happened? Because I really felt that pull and that leaving of my body. And I went down to tell my brother. He didn't really believe me, and I was just kind of afraid because I didn't feel in control and comfortable. So I decided I wasn't going to do it again. But then later on, between 16 and 17, I had this really, really, really strong push to actually have an out-of-body experience. So I went online, I researched it, I found meditations and techniques and exercises that worked well for me. And there was this one website where he gave you step-by-step instructions in which you would experience. So I used his technique with a little bit of somebody else's, and I went into my room and I laid down on my bed and I began. You're supposed to be in a room where it's quiet, where you won't be disturbed, the temperature should be okay. He said to sit in a chair, but for me, I even meditate lying down, but it's to prevent you from falling asleep, but do whatever you feel comfortable doing. So the first thing to do was to relax and focus on your breathing and your body. So it's diaphragmatic breathing, where your belly or diaphragm expands with every inhale, and then you slowly exhale. And you start with the tips of your toes, and you just become aware of your body as you move all the way up to your head, to your scalp. And then you start counting from 1 to 10 and then repeat. And with every inhale, you count 1, and every exhale, 2, and then you keep going. Inhale 3, exhale 4, inhale 5, exhale 6 to 10, and then repeat. And the counting is to, give you that rhythm and you relax, and it's also to keep you focused, because I lost count a couple of times, but then you just refocus and you start back at 1 or where you remember leaving off. And after I was really relaxed, the next thing to do was to feel your body. Feel your consciousness or your spirit leaving your body. You're supposed to feel and visualize your astral body leaving your body. And I did this. I would breathe in, inhale, and count 1, and then see my spirit, my consciousness leaving my body a little bit. And then I would exhale 2, and I would see however far my body had come out, that it was cemented that far. It wasn't going to go back. It wasn't going to go forward. It was cemented where it had left. And then I would inhale again, and I would keep going higher and higher to the ceiling of my room. And the pull was very, very strong. And I started hearing this staticky sound in my ears, and I was like, okay, it must be happening, because that's what he said was going to happen. I didn't believe that I was actually going to hear the staticky sound. I thought, that might be some people's experiences, but I really heard that staticky sound and that strong pull. So when I was at the ceiling, which was in the basement, I lived in the basement, and my ceiling was connected to the main floor of the house, I decided to pop my head up and see if I could see anything, because I thought I was still imagining it. So I popped my head up, I looked around, I saw my brother in his room, and he was on the laptop or on the computer at his desk, and then he stood up and he was about to walk out. And I was back in my body, and I could hear his steps coming out of his room, and I was like, even in that state of being calm, I was so aware that I had just actually seen him, and I could then hear him with my human ears walking. The next thing was this really heavy feeling or disassociation with my body. I could actually feel how heavy or how fleshy my body was and how light my astral body felt. And I decided that I wanted to go to other places, but then I don't remember what happened. I know I left and went somewhere, but then all of a sudden I was back in my body. And I was conscious and I was awake. But the thing was, I couldn't move my body. This is called sleep paralysis, and I didn't know it at the time, so I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is that I was paralyzed, and I thought I was going to be stuck that way. And during sleep paralysis, a lot of people get a strong weight on their chest. It feels like they can't breathe, and so I really couldn't breathe well, and I was trying to scream for my brother and sister to come in and save me because they lived in the basement too, but I couldn't move. I couldn't actually yell. I could hear a little bit of from my human ears, and I couldn't open my eyes. I was just completely paralyzed. I was actually tearing up. I was crying because I was so afraid. And then my body started convulsing as the chemical started to wear off, because when you're in REM sleep, your body releases a chemical to paralyze your body so that you don't sleepwalk. I didn't know that. So as the chemical started to wear off and I started to regain control, my body started convulsing around, and it was involuntary and kind of like spasms. And all I could feel was my hands and my body hitting the covers, and the feeling of it hitting the covers. And eventually, I did regain control of my body. I was sweating. I was wiping my eyes, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm never doing that again." But then, after I got out of my parents' house and I started learning more about the spiritual world and other people's experiences and actually what sleep paralysis was, I decided to have another one. And I was in Washington State. I was 20, and I decided to send my spirit to Maryland, to the church, to see what was going on with my siblings, or just see if I could do an OBE again. And I see a little girl that I used to take care of, Isabel, and she's walking down the church hallway, and she has a towel wrapped around her. And then something else with the nursery, and then I'm back in my body. And then I tell my brother what I had seen, and he was like, "That's so weird, because Isabel wet herself at church the other day, and we had to put a towel around her." And he's like, "That's so strange. That's so strange." It was kind of, because he's more religious, he was trying to make it work in his head, and I was like, "Oh my God, I knew it. I knew it was real." Because that was the first experience that I had a confirmation that I'd actually left my body and I'd gotten information. So OBEs are very interesting. Astral projections are very interesting. I don't really do them that much because I'm more centered right now on communicating with my spirit guides, my higher self, and source. But I did have another experience last year when I decided to, shame on me, to be sneaky and go see somebody I know. It was after I sent him a kind of a mean email. I won't mention his name, but he's like an editor. He's my editor. And I went to see him after I sent the email, and he was like this, like, when you're like holding out your arms on your desk, and he was in front of his computer or laptop, and he had a strange face. It was like, it was a weird face. I can't do it. And then all of a sudden, this really redness came from behind him, which signifies anger. And I just zapped back into my body. I was like, "Whoa, guess he's angry." And then I made up for it. But that was the most recent experience I had. I would not recommend that people use OBEs to be sneaky. It's kind of like a peeping Tom, and people energetically know when your spirit is around, so I wouldn't recommend people doing that. But that's some people's incentive, so do what your process requires for you to do. But I would definitely recommend researching out-of-body experiences more so you know what you're getting yourself into. I really wish I had learned about sleep paralysis before I'd done it. But everyone will have their process and experience. Just ask to be safe by your spirit guides, your angels, your higher self, source, or God force, to really help you along your journey and to help you get past any fears. And then look up online other people's experiences and what you can expect. I will put information in the info section about the step-by-step instructions or meditation that I use to have an out-of-body experience. Basically, from this video, what I want to do is to ask everyone to be safe as they do it, because it's just safe, 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 safe. I think that's why the universe kept messing up my videos, because they really wanted me to say that I want everyone to be safe. So I will just send a little bit of gold light through the airways to make sure that everyone remains comfortable and harmonious during their experiences. I would love to hear other people's experiences, so please email me them. You can comment. I've also recently made a Facebook page where I put lots more information, and you can communicate with me more regularly, and I'll put that link to the video. All right. So those are my experiences, and any other requests for videos, email me. And welcome to all the new subscribers. Bye.